jumping into Genesis chapter 4 this week because we're able to see that the entrance of sin as this virus into creation was more than just two individuals rebelling against God. Now, from Adam and Eve, it's seeping into the whole family. And now brother against brother it is being impacted because of sin in the world. So let's dive in. Genesis 4, 1 through 16. The man, Adam, knew his wife, Eve, intimately. She became pregnant and gave birth to Cain, and said, I have given life to a man with the Lord's help. She gave birth a second time to Cain's brother Abel. Abel cared for the flocks, and Cain farmed the fertile land. Sometime later, Cain presented an offering to the Lord from the land's crops, while Abel presented his flock's oldest offspring with their fat. The Lord looked favorably on Abel and his sacrifice, but didn't look favorably on Cain and his sacrifice. Cain became very angry and looked resentful. The Lord said to Cain, Why are you angry? Why do you look so resentful? If you do the right thing, won't you be accepted? If you don't do the right thing, sin will be waiting at the door ready to strike. It will entice you, but you must rule over it. Cain said to his brother Abel, Let's go out to the field. When they were in the field, Cain attacked his brother Abel and killed him. The Lord said to Cain, Where is your brother Abel? Cain said, I don't know. Am I my brother's guardian? The Lord said, What did you do? The voice of your brother's blood is crying to me from the ground. You are now cursed from the ground that opened its mouth to take your brother's blood from your hand. When you farm the fertile land, it will no longer grow anything for you. You will become a roving nomad on the earth. Cain said to the Lord, My punishment is more than I can bear. Now that you've driven me away from the fertile land and I am hidden from your presence, I am about to become a roving nomad on the earth, and anyone who finds me will kill me. The Lord said to him, It won't happen. Anyone who kills Cain will be paid back 7 times. The Lord put a sign on Cain so that no one who found him would assault him. Cain left the Lord's presence, and he settled down in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Okay, well, right off the bat, there are a couple interesting elements of this story that brings up something that comes up again and again in Scripture. The biblical authors often are very sparse when it comes to detail. Sometimes they leave out things that we have big questions about. 2 questions right off the bat as I'm looking at this text. For me, we see that the Lord looked favorably on Abel's sacrifice, but he didn't look favorably on Cain. And whole books and sermons have been written trying to decipher what exactly happened here. The text, if you read, never actually tells you what Cain did wrong. It never says, why was Cain's sacrifice not accepted? People have guessed that, well, maybe Cain didn't give the best of his goods. Maybe he gave the second-rate stuff, or maybe he did it pridefully, or whatever it was, but the text doesn't tell us, so we just don't know. Why was that one accepted and the other one not? The other one that often comes up right about now is this line. Cain is only the 4th person in existence, apparently, and he's already talking to the Lord. Anyone who finds me will kill me. Not to mention in the next passage where he goes and takes a wife and founds a city. So we want to know, where did those people come from? And here's the thing, the Scriptures just don't tell us. Those are great questions to ask. We can have fun diving in, trying to wrestle with some of those questions. It's never bad to ask questions of Scripture, but it's also good to realize, well, if the author didn't tell us these answers, maybe we're supposed to be focusing on something else. Maybe we're not supposed to need to answer those questions. So let's figure out what can we know. I think Cain often gets a bad rap. Obviously, he's the first murderer. This is the first real sin outside of the rebellion of Adam and Eve eating the fruit. And it's a big one. We talked last week of God telling Eve that through pain she would bear children, and how pain also refers to kind of an emotional pain. And here, scene 1 after the fall is Eve has to deal with one of her sons killing another son. That kind of pain is just filling this whole narrative. One of the things that jumps out at me, though, Cain is not painted as just this absolute evil character that needs to be killed off. I'm interested to see, yes, God looked favorably on Abel, but look at how many times God speaks to Cain over and over and over again. God is speaking directly to Cain, and Cain is able to speak to the Lord. I'm seeing out of this just this intense mercy. God is giving Cain so many chances. He's coming to Cain, warning him ahead of time. There's this great scene of, warning. There's some rebuke. But there's also a lot of mercy, even here. Cain just committed this incredible act of betrayal and treason, and God is still coming and saying, I'm not going to let anyone hurt you. He puts a mark on Cain so that no one who found him would assault him. Like, what kind of mercy is that? One of the things that we see here is the growth of sin. Sin began in the garden with Adam and Eve rebelling against God by eating of the fruit. And chapter 4 is still the progression of sin. Now it's not just man and woman at odds with each other and rebelling against God. It's now seeped into a whole family structure. And so sin, I think what we start to see from here on, all the way up till chapter 11 of Genesis, is sin begins in the individual, but starts to exponentially grow, ultimately leading to this system-wide infection of sin. But here we've gone from the individual to the family already. And one last thing I'd like to point out is the same sort of sequence that we saw last week with Adam and Eve being exiled east of the garden. And we kind of talked about how Adam and Eve, are paralleling Israel's future journey. Israel, God placing them in the promised land and then exiling them to the east, right here. And then in the next chapter, we see the same sort of thing. Cain is farming the fertile land, right there, but then he is cast out to the east. So exile is a theme that starts on page 1, 2, 3, and it's just going to continue. And so if you were an ancient Israelite reading this story, you would see yourself in this story. In the same way that Adam and Eve were cast out from the promised land, Cain, because of his sin, was cast to the east, to exile. I actually really appreciate the fact that the text doesn't give us the answer to why God didn't look favorably on Cain's sacrifice. It gives us a little more, for me, a way into my real life. There are times when it just feels like whatever I'm doing is not pleasing to the Lord, and I have no idea why. Maybe you felt that kind of struggle, that angst in your own life. What I love about this text is the way that God actually pursues Cain with incredible mercy and warning. Yes, he brings rebuke and judgment because Cain falls away from the Lord. He kills his brother. It was atrocious. But even then, God comes back with, again, mercy, putting a mark on Cain so that he won't be killed. There's a way that that speaks to me. Are there ways in your life where you felt this struggle to wonder, is God with me? Is he pleased with me? Am I doing the right thing? And the heavens are silent. We can actually look at Cain and especially look at the Lord. How does God actually pursue Cain in this passage so that, and what does that mean for me? Maybe take some time with that this week. Do you need to see God pursuing you with that kind of mercy and grace and patience and warning this week?